Okay, in this video we're looking at an example where we are basically just going to be applying the general equation of a quadratic number pattern. Well, it's not that different from how we apply the general equation of a linear number pattern or an arithmetic sequence. Basically, even if you look at the question, you'll see that they are very similar, or the very two questions, they are very similar. Okay, so let's just get straight to it. We are given 1, 3, 7, 13, all the way to infinity. Those three dots, as I said in the first video, they represent that the pattern continues up to infinity, or positive infinity for that matter. So let's look at how we go about finding solutions in this case without wasting anyone's time. We are asked to determine the next two terms. As I said, I would recommend that you just rewrite the pattern pretty much and then see how they were arriving at the next term from there. Already we know that this is a quadratic number pattern, therefore it has a second common difference. Firstly, we get the difference. That difference, it gives us a linear number pattern. 13 minus 3, how much is that? Just make sure you put the right value, don't just put values because it's based on feelings. Because I see this one, it was based on feelings. I can't say 7 minus 3 is 5. Definitely that's just a feelings based question or a response. Okay, 13 minus 7 is 6. Then now you look at the second difference and see if it's actually common. It is common, but if you were writing things based on how you feel, you are definitely not going to get a common second difference. Okay, what we know with this is that the first difference, which is this row, let me just write reference, it gives us a linear number patterns. Then the second one, it's the common difference, which is the second difference, it's a common one. So the first is a linear number pattern, which means it has a common difference like that. Then we just keep adding that common difference to get to the next term in the first row. So we add 2 to the 6, we get 8. Then now we just need to add 8 plus 13. What will that give you? 8 plus 13 is 21. Then you already have your first, second term, or one of the next two terms that they wanted. Continue again and realize that 8 plus 2 is 10. You will see that if everything is not based on feelings, you are getting the right answer. Then now you have 31. So therefore your solution to this question is 21 and 31. Those are your next two terms that they were asking you to get. Simple as that. We move on to the next part. If anything you don't understand, you ask, and then we see if we can help you. Other than that, we refer you to those who can. Okay, the second part of the question says determine the nth term. That is the general equation or the general term. However they would usually phrase it, it's fine. Just know that the nth term is the general term. We have the general term, which is given by this general equation, plus bn plus c, an squared plus bn plus c. That is what we have. However, we need to just get a, we need to just get b and c and substitute into equation, then we should be fine, you see. So how we start, because we've already done these subtractions at the top there, I don't see the need of us copying that thing again. So what we will do is that, remember, a, we'll start with the last term actually. 2a is equals to, not the last term to say, I mean the common difference, because there it only has one unknown variable. It's equals to 2. Therefore a equals to 1. And then we work in this direction, going upwards like that. So 3a plus b, if you remember from the table that I've given you, it's equals to the first term of the first difference, which is 2 in this case. That is the term, right? This 2 is the one that I used here. The other 2 is the one that I'm using now. Assuming you understand, let's proceed. If you don't understand, you ask, then we try to clarify things for you, of course. Okay, simplifying here is just 2 minus 3, which is -1. And then if you remember from the table again, I told you that the first term of quadratic number pattern, it's actually equals to a plus b plus c, the value of it. In this case, we are given the value of it being 1. So we already know what a is. A is 1, and you know that b is -1. Then we just need to solve for c. Therefore, c is actually equals to 1, because 1 plus -1, it's basically 0, and then c is equals to 1. Now we can write the general term, or the nth term. I would usually just rewrite this thing and then substitute. So let me rewrite it and substitute. Substituting, I have 1n squared plus -1n plus 1. So simplifying is just n squared minus n plus 1. That is your general term. Then you are done. And then we'll move on to the third part of the question. Okay, let me just be consistent and use what I've been using. Okay, the third part of the question says, what is the 20th term? That is basically the term number 20. The nth term is term n. Now we are looking at 20th term. We have the general formula for determine the value of each term. So term number 20, it's basically us just substituting 20 in the place of n and then getting the value, since we already have the general term, the formula that we use to determine every term in this question. So that gives you 381 if you punch your calculator and not just use your feelings, but also use what is right or makes more sense. Let's continue. What is the last part of the question? They're asking us which term is 57. Which term of the number pattern, its value is actually 57? A similar question to what we were asked in that question that we were doing for linear number patterns. So we solve it a very similar way. So we know the general term. Let me write it properly. Tn equals to n squared minus n plus 1. That is our general equation. Though we know that the value is already 57. So if it's 57, what is its position? Plus 1. Here, this is where I mentioned something which I didn't mention in the first video. N can never be negative because it's the position. So I'm mentioning it now. No need for me to be killed for that. So we continue. 57. We're just simplifying this thing now to try to solve for n. We can just take 57 to the other side and just simplify these things. Minus n. 57, when you move it to the other side, it's basically 1 minus 57, which is -56. And then now we just flip the whole thing, basically, so that 0 can go to the right hand side, because usually mathematicians feel better when things are like that. And then we just need to factorize now. This is n plus 7 and n minus 8. If you don't know the factors, my advice is that use the quadratic formula from this point. Don't try to factorize like this if you don't know the factors. Or you can use the quadratic formula to find the factors, and when you substitute here, you just need to change the sign that you will get on your calculator if you just put the quadratic formula on your calculator, and you act as if you know the factors. Life goes on. You don't have to be killed for that. Okay, now you will just simplify, then we move on. N equals to 8 or n equals to -7. However, you know that n represents the position in the general formula. Therefore, n cannot be equals to -7, which therefore means, but n cannot be equals to -7, which therefore means n equals to 8. Then that is your position, which therefore means to answer the question fully, you will tell them that term number 8 is actually 57, because that's what they were asking you. Which term is 57? You are done with all the questions. If there's anything that you don't understand, you raise your question, and then we see if we can help you. Should we not, the B8 gang is around.